Hi guys, this is Raquel with paintsandglitter.com, and today I'm coming to you with a project share and also my review of the new Tim Holtz Studios stamping platform. But if you haven't seen it, then just quickly, this stamping platform has a side that's allows you to work with clear stamps, and it's labeled there clear, and then it also has, and this is an 8.5 by 8.5 size platform, so it's quite big. And then this comes off like so, just by pulling it up, and then you can flip it over, and this side will allow you to then stamp with rubber stamps, which is clearly labeled too. Comes with 2 magnets to hold your papers. For today, what I wanted to do was to use some stamps from Gorguss Girl collection. And they're from 2 different collections, but in any case, this one's with the Mermaid. Let me see here. This one here looks like so, and it's called, let's see here, a washed. And it comes with a large mermaid and a few other stamps, and then it comes with this little one that I'm going to be using. The seashell, and then this that says a washed, and it looks like a little postage. And then this one's from a different one, but I'm not going to be showing that one today. Basically, what you can do is you can place your stamp where you would like it, and I'm going to be cutting these out, so the placement doesn't really matter too much. And then you put your lid down, and then they stick to the lid, and of course this is where the backwards part comes in. You can apply your ink. I'm going to be using Hampton Art ink here that's in a gray color, and this is my first time stamping with these stamps. They're brand new to me. And I'm just gonna try to saturate them with this ink, and I don't know what it's gonna look like. At least these 2, because I have used the seashell. And the great thing is, of course, that my paper's not going to move. It's not going to go anywhere because I have those little magnets holding it down. And then here's my image, and I can already tell that the seashell I want to stamp again. And so this platform, the other great thing about it is that you can color right on here, because you can wipe this off, and of course with it being magnetic, if you're using an even larger piece of paper, you can get extra magnets. So say I want to stamp this one again, I can just move it. I'm going to wipe it off first, clean off my stamp, change inks, and I don't have to worry about anything else. I can just, let's see here, I think I want to stamp it in this color called Abandoned Coral. So I'm not going to worry about the other 2 stamps because they're not going to damage my image. I'm just going to apply ink to this one, and then close it again. And if I'm not happy with the color, or if I want to apply color directly to the stamp, I could do that here also. It's another thing that I liked about this, because we have all different mediums that we can use to apply color to a stamp, and that's kind of fun. So I thought that was kind of neat. I'm going to try this one in a different color. I'm going to remove her because I'm done with that. And maybe this one too. I don't know, I'm just playing around here. So I think I'm going to try keeping this light because it's going to be for a very pastel light colored project. But you see how easy this is? You can just move things around, stamp them multiple times if you want to. And then of course, if you're doing a scene, you can mask the already stamped images. And the other thing is I have very weak hands because of a surgery. Well, one of them is much weaker than the other, so it sometimes hurts my hands to do that pressing motion. This, now I don't have to worry about that because I don't have to press too hard to get an image, a clear image on a surface anymore. And that was the other benefit for me to get this, was that this surface pressure is a bit greater, and I like that color. Okay, so now that I'm done stamping, I can color my images, and I can take them off of here, or I could leave them. It's up to you, really, because this wipes clean very easily because of the type of surface that it is. So that's another biggie for me because I like cleanliness. So now what I decided to do was that I would use distress inks to color this in, but I want to heat set it. So I'm going to use my heat gun and I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to start my coloring. Okay guys, so I'm back now and I wanted to show you what I've done, or how it is that I am coloring these stamps, these stamped images. First of all, I'm using a high quality cardstock here, which is 110-pound cardstock. This is not watercolor paper, although I typically do use watercolor paper for when I'm stamping. In this case, I just decided to go ahead with regular paper. And then what I've done is I've grabbed some of my distress inks and oxide inks, and I just put them on my table, and whatever color appeals to me, I start smushing on my glass mat. I keep my water nearby, and I'm just using a regular watercolor brush that you can fill. In this case, I'm just dipping the tip alone instead of filling it, just because I want to have more control over how much water is on my paper, because this is not watercolor paper. So I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit of a drier way of doing things, but it works for me. So far what I've done is I've added the pink and green to the seashells, and the way that I did that was by dipping my the tip of my brush into a little bit of water that I have pooled here, and then grabbing a little bit of worn lipstick distress oxide ink and literally just dabbing it onto that stamp or that image. And of course the oxides are a bit brighter than the regular distress inks, so that adds a pretty combination of colors there. And then I can kind of water that down the same way you would do with watercolors, but just being careful not to add too much water to this paper so that it doesn't end up looking muddy. So yeah, that's how I'm coloring my images. And I might add some pencil to this, or stickles, I'm not sure yet, but because I don't want to bore you with the coloring process, I just wanted to show you. I did stamp the larger mermaid because I wanted to see, of course, as soon as I got that stamp set, what that would look like. And this is the final result of having colored her with distress inks and watercolors. Actually, now that I say that, I'm not quite sure if I used distress inks. I think I did. I can't remember now, but I did use watercolor, and I want to say, I'm so sorry, I think this was distress inks, but in any case, I also used my Prismacolor pencils on her hair on top of the watercolor, and then on her skin I did Prismacolor pencils, and then I topped it off just because I wanted it to be really girly. I put stickles on her hair because I just thought that would look really cute. So she's not quite done yet because I do want to work on her tail a little bit more, but I really like that image, and I wanted to show you that's how I like to color my images. So yeah, the fun part, of course, is adding all of those colors and just playing around and seeing how the combinations are going to work. I like to start off with a lighter color and then go from that to darker. And then, as you can see here, the application of this is quite easy. I like to also keep the brush strokes the same as much as possible and just move the paper around. At least that's how I like to color these images in. Now, because I heat set that ink, it's less likely to fade. It still can if I add too much water, so you do have to be mindful of that when you're coloring if you haven't done this before. But less, you know, the less you put on there, the safer you are initially anyway. But I also like to play around, like this one I stamped with the abandoned coral, the distress ink, and I love to see how they react with the, since they are water reactive, how they react with the oxides. Like right now I'm just adding oxide ink to that distress ink. Now I did heat set it, but adding water to it is going to bring out a little bit more color, which I'm not sure if it'll show in this video just because my lighting is not the best, so I apologize for that. And then I just like to keep a little towel nearby so I can clean my brush. My towel's old and stained, but it is clean. And I'll go back to, I'm using right now cracked pistachio because it's a very pretty light green color. It's probably my favorite so far of the inks. And the other benefit of stamping all of these at once is that then you can keep the same color collection with your images, and it'll kind of, you know, if you like to match, then that makes it a lot easier. I'm going to try this Mermaid Lagoon. Wow, that looks really dark. So, not sure how much of that I'll use, but since it's there, just going to pick up a little bit. Now my brush is really, really wet, and this is how I do my watercoloring too, so I just apply that to when I use distress inks. I just pretend that they're watercolors. So I like to have a big pool, a lot of water, and then a little bit of ink, and then from there you can always go darker. That's the theory. So so I'm making her hair blue because why not? The other one had pink hair, pink and orange, which I'd love to combine. This one, she's going to have blue hair. And if you have any questions about coloring, painting, anything like that, please let me know. I know that my blog is dedicated to paper crafts, but my passion is actually painting. It's what I love to do, and so if this is boring, please feel free to forward through it, because I am going to do the project share of what I do with this. So if you don't want to watch the coloring, I don't blame you, because I'm the same way. Unless I'm learning a new technique or something like that, I can't bear to watch someone color, because then I want to color. So I won't be offended. Alright, so there's, not that I would be able to tell, right? Okay, so I'm going to clean my brush, and basically I'm just going to keep going with the same color palette. I'm going to keep playing around, and what I'll do is I'll come back to you guys and show you what, you know, I'll edit the video to show you guys what the final result will be of the coloring, and hopefully you get to see the result But I just wanted to show you guys how I do the coloring, because I have had some people ask, you know, do you buy you know, the pre-colored images, or where do you get your ephemera? And I've had to explain that it's not ephemera, it's actually, you know, it's not a print and cut. I actually do color the images and I enjoy it, so for me it's not a big deal. This is the part of the process that I actually enjoy. So I will be back, show you the result, and then I'm going to show you how I will put it on my project. Okay guys, so now I am back, and as you probably can tell, it's the middle of the night. It's much darker than when I started, but I wanted to come back and go ahead and finish this because I was inspired to continue working, but my day doesn't always go as planned, and I didn't have time to finish this earlier. So what I wanted to go ahead and do is show you guys the materials that I used to finish my project, and then go ahead and start assembling all of this. And also I will post pictures of the finished product when I'm done. So I just wanted to let you guys know the coloring that I did on the images, and they're all finished now. I'm going to show you guys here. I finished with the inks, and I realize this is not the best image, but I also went ahead and used my Jelly Roll pen and Prismacolor pencils. So just to show you guys what that looks like, it's this collection of pencils here, and I hope that was in frame. So yes, I used those, and then I used the Sakura Jelly Roll pen to add brightness, or you know, the little sparkle all around. And yeah, so that's what the images look like now. They all have the colors that I was hoping to get, and I also used a Cricut pen in no, I'm sorry, the Prismacolor pencil in silver to go over the outline of the stamping, because it got much lighter as I kept adding color and inks to it. So I had it laid out as I like. I also forgot to mention previously that I forgot to stamp the little stars out, because I lost the stamp somehow on my work area. Found it, stamped those out, and I colored those with Distress Crayon in Scattered Straw, as well as Mermaid Lagoon Distress Ink, and I believe I may have used worn lipstick. I'm not quite sure, can't remember now, but I cut these images out, this being the coral, cut that out and embossed it with different embossing powders. I cut it out of this very light peach colored paper, and also a lighter peach color paper that I then used a white embossing powder and then a translucent embossing powder. But before I did that, I stamped it with orange oxide ink, so it took on those colors, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. So that I did with my Cricut Explorer Air 2. These scales here I also cut out with the Cricut, and then I added a little piece of this really soft pink trim that I had as a border. I'm going to be adding a piece of, I don't know what to call this, but it's like cord almost, and the little seashells I cut out, and also a little mermaid tail that I added stickles to, and this is layered. It's 4 layers there. And then the sand dollar, I'm going to be putting sequins on, so that's going to be all of that. Okay, so now my glue is hot enough, and I'm just going to begin adding a tiny bead of glue along the edges here, just enough to carry on that string of sequins here. It doesn't have to be a lot because I don't want it to be two-dimensional. So I'm going as close to the border there as I can. And of course it helps to work on this surface, but it will also cool off rather fast, so I have to be careful with that. So I'll just keep working here, and it's probably going to come off a little bit, and that's okay because I can cut it off if that happens. If it cools off too quickly, that's not a big deal. Just keep working here, adding adhesive as I go, and adding the sequins as I go. And that one flipped over, but I think I can salvage that. So this idea just came about as I was looking at images that I wanted to use in Design Space today. And there's an entire collection of images that are Mermaid related in Design Space right now that are available for Cricut Access members. And I really like them. So I figured these would be great to use on this project. And I'm not being entirely neat right now, but I'll do my best. And again, I can just go back and cut off any excess adhesive. So hopefully you guys can see that. But my hopes are that the end result is exactly what I envisioned in my mind. Of course, I always feel like I'm working backwards because of being left-handed, but maybe I can't blame it on that. So I'm just afraid of getting burned, just like anyone else. Okay, so I'm getting there. And I'm sorry if this is out of frame. If it is, then I will edit this part out of the video so that you don't have to suffer through it. And once it's dry, I can also take away any of the little cobwebs. That form. But we're almost there. Okay. And I'm trying to grab that string also because I want to cover it. Okay, so I'm going to remove any excess. Being careful not to tear the paper. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little hot glue in the back here where it ends off. So glue it in the back and then cut it right there. Okay. So this is the back, which is not looking very attractive, but that's okay because again, this part won't be seen. And I'll remove all of that other adhesive so it doesn't end up on my project. Okay, so that's the back, and then this is the front. So now it has little white sequins all around the edge. And down here, I think I want to clean it up a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. So what I want to do is add that rather high up here. Okay, because I want this to be visible, and of course there's a little cobweb, but I want to be able to see this on my surface. So I'm going to follow the line of the paper there to add that. And I actually had double-sided adhesive on this already. I just forgot about it. So let's go ahead and take advantage of that. Add it on my line. And I want it, there we go, just like that. And this I inked with chalk ink, just to make it fast. So now I'm going to add my little sand dollar, and I think that I want to use hot glue on that also. So here goes that. I'm going to do it just like that. Okay, and I wanted this over here, but I want that little tail as if the mermaid's behind there. So I think I'm going to adhere the tail first, like so. So that'll go there. I wanted this here. Maybe a little higher. Just playing it by ear here, but maybe it should go there. Then I wanted this back here. I'm hoping I'm still in frame, and this is held by double-sided adhesive, but I'm just going to add hot glue to it. I hope that looks okay. What I'm going to do is make sure that it has plenty of adhesive there so that it sticks really well. Okay. I think I want that one up there. And this has foam adhesive on the back, which I'm hoping will grab on to that, but if it doesn't, then I can add the hot glue. I try to do some of this ahead of time for the sake of time. There we go. But working with hot glue is a little tricky, and with these very sticky adhesives, but I want to make sure that this holds up. So this is so far what I have. Now before I go any further, I want to make sure that this is nice and clean. I don't like to see any little webs, and I see one there, so I want to get rid of that. Okay. And then what's left here, let's see here, are these little guys, the seashells. I have this one on foam adhesive, but let me see. I think I like it like that. And I'm going to use hot glue on that one also. I guess I'll put it on top. There we go, like that. And I'm going to put a little star there. Of my little trio. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. One there. One up here in the corner. And I want a little star up there as well. Trying to be careful not to burn myself here. These itty bitty little pieces. So there's that. And I'm trying to get that little cobweb. All right, and then I have one more little star, which I think I want to add up here. Making my little triangles, as I'm always talking about triangulating, right? So that one's going to be right there. I just didn't want to cover the words, so there we go. All right, so I'm going to try to give you guys a little close-up here. Hopefully you got to see the process of how I did that. And that's my finished piece. So again, these are all items found in Cricut Design Space. And what I can do is I can list the materials that I've used. I will take pictures as soon as the sun comes up so you guys can see all of the cute little details. And I thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found this useful, and hopefully you can take a little something away from having watched this video. If you have any questions, of course, please feel free to contact me. I am on Instagram as Paints and Glitter, also at paintsandglitter@gmail.com, and you can find me on my web at www.paintsandglitter.com. And thank you again, and I hope you have been inspired and that you can be blessed. Have a great day. Bye-bye.